Welcome to Attican Plays Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. All right, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Series 4, Episode 8 of Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic. Now, I'm going to start right in with the comments. In the last one, I had asked you guys about how to delete the trees. I didn't know how to do it without deleting everything around it, without using the bulldozer. Hyena and Questlove both mentioned you can delete the trees with the leveling tool. So you can just take the leveling tool and bye trees. It works great, except it will not delete the trees. See, I'm running it right now. Oh, it got that one, but it won't, as a rule, delete the trees that are close to infrastructure. That's fine, though. I was able to take that, we've got it thinned out. Maybe we could get rid of a couple more up here. Let's see. Yeah, but the good news is I'm not concerned I'm going to take out paths or roads or anything. All right, so thank you, Hyena and Questlove. The other one is I had mentioned that I wish I had done these passing lanes on the opposite side so that the loaded train would be running on the so-called you might call the straight track, and the returning empty train would be running on the crooked track. And OP had a great idea, which was, well, switch the direction of the signals, and that way you'd have just what you want. Excellent idea, and I explained to OP it's a great idea, and I will not be doing that. And the reason is I am directionally challenged, number one, and seeing trains running on the left would, I think, drive me crazy. Number two is my trains drive on the right. If you'll remember from Railway Empire, they drove on the right in Great Britain and Ireland, as sacrilegious as that may be. And until a game forces me to drive trains on the left-hand side, my trains drive on the right. So that means our trains drive on the right. Okay, but OP, that was a great idea, and thank you for that. Ben Gigi had a couple of comments. Number of kindergartens. You'll notice I've added one based on his comment. He said it looked like our kindergartens were being stressed. Now, kindergartens, of course, have a max based upon how much staff you have in there. And you'll notice even with 9 people, we're still totally full. This one's actually 8 out of 10. We probably had somebody just get off work, but just the same, it's totally full plus a little bit. And this one, same thing. It's totally full plus a little bit. And I went through, there's no good way to do this, so I went through a bunch of these flats, and they all seem to have one worker couldn't get to work because of kindergarten, so that's 14. We're in pretty good shape now, but that's because I did add this third one. And before we only had 2 running, and we were missing workers. Now we're getting plenty of workers right now. We're doing okay here. We got, pardon me, almost 400 people in our refinery. That's all good. Now, the other thing I did was, let me do Ben's other comment first. He said that you don't really have to import electronics to keep people happy, that it doesn't actually support anything in their happiness, and that is true. However, I wonder what happens if you get to the point where you're ready to build a radio station or TV station. Would you be better off having accumulated these, or when these people die, do they take their electronics with them? What happens to this? Can you accumulate enough to have these? Because if you do build the expense of a radio or TV station, you want it to be very effective, and it can only be as effective as the percentage of people who have these items, the radio or TV. And I do not know what the computer does. Maybe it allows both. I don't know. But if anybody knows, let us know. And if anybody knows the answer of are you better off accumulating these, or can you just wait until you build a radio station and then start selling electronics? I'm going to leave them on for now until I hear from you guys, from somebody who's kind of done that research. All right. So what was the other thing? Oh, I wanted to show you the university. Remember, we dedicated a flat to the university, And you can see here we're doing much better. We've got 19 professors now. We've got 41 people in attendance, but I can tell you that not too long ago we had like 2 people in attendance and multiple professors. And what I've done is enact what I was talking about in the last episode. I turned passengers back on, or excuse me, students back on at the downtown train station, and I added that back into the train routes. So now they go downtown Refinery, downtown University. So that, and on their pickup here, they only pick up students. That's all they pick up. So from here, they pick up students and drop them off at university. So we're allowing these people now to go to university, and you can see they are showing up, and we're getting good. We have professors now. We've already finished our chemistry research, and we're 68% of the way through. I think that's engineering. We're 68% through engineering. So we're looking good on our research. We're looking good on our education system now. Our happiness, folks, where happiness is just about pegged. Yeah, we're doing all right. We're doing all right. So what are we going to do this time? This one's going to be quick. I want to show you what I've been up to. I have been playing, and by the way, I had 8 all in the can, as they say. I had it completely recorded, all the voiceovers and narration, and I was just going editing through it to make sure I took out as many rude noises as I could find and all that kind of stuff. And I was listening to it, and I just thought, God, this sucks. This absolutely sucks. So episode 8 got thrown away. I just said, forget this, and nobody needs to see this. So we've moved ahead a little bit, and I just kept going because, it was just awful. It was just, I was bored listening to it. I can't imagine how you would feel. So let me show you what I've been up to as far as gameplay. Now, I did a lot of this offline. This wouldn't have been episode 8 anyway. I just blew through episode 8 right there in a much more concise manner. What I've done now is add a whole set of track, this connection. Remember, I'll keep talking about how we're going to go get the oil in that field. Well, I have built a nice mountain pass through here. We have tracks coming up, and I'll tell you about this in just a minute. I have tracks coming up and then going down, down, down into our oil field down here outside of Molna. And I've got the oil field, the oil rigs all set up. And I got more out of it than I thought. I've got 16 oil rigs set up here. There actually would be room for one more over here, but it's too far away. I don't want to mess with it because I want to have fire coverage right there. I want to have fire station covering all the oil rigs and all the pumps and lines and what have you. And so what we're going to have to do is have a city that can supply citizens to work in the fire station. And I'd originally set it up, you can see the remains of it right here, is a really tiny little town, just the minimal things you'd have to keep everybody happy just for that fire station. And I thought, nah, we're going to have to get into construction anyway. So now what I've started doing is setting up our construction. So now we've got what's it called? A quarry, and we've got a gravel processing and large storage, and we've got asphalt, and we've got concrete and cement, or cement and concrete, or whichever way it goes, and a tank for bitumen for the asphalt, and we've got conveyors feeding off into, well, these are extra engines going over to prefab panels. And which one was this? This one's cement, and it feeds to the concrete. Okay, so we're going to start creating some of our materials eventually, and we are going to start doing construction management. So what I'm going to do is set it up so that we're going to build a city, and this is just a marker for roughly where I want to have the city. We've got to keep it away. These oil rigs actually do, as we've seen, and we've seen evidence of this, the oil rigs do create pollution, so we cannot build right up against them. And there will be some pollution coming out of here as well. So we're going to stay up here kind of out of the way. We'll probably get over this way a little bit to make sure we've got a nice clean run over here to this fire station. But we're going to build out a pretty decent little city here. Again, at first I thought it was going to be really small. It was my plan. But I've added this in. We're going to need people for this. And also, this is a really rich area. We are probably going to, out of the city, staff a steel mill, perhaps right in this area, because there is an abundance of coal right through here. I'm sorry, iron ore right in here, and over here a little further down the mountain range, over in this general area, there's coal. So a steel mill would make sense there, put it in with all of our manufacturing, and then my plan was to have a train line. We're just going to keep building up this main line here, but to have a train line that came up through maybe right up the border, or maybe hooked up into this the one going through that pass, and be able to ship our construction materials. So our first real construction will be building the city, and then after we get that done, I think the other thing we're going to do is build the rest of this. The pieces I need for the to get the construction started, I'll auto build, but we'll let our construction teams build the construction stuff, the things that creates construction materials. And then when all that's done, and they've done a good job on all that, then we'll think about how can we move construction materials to a new site. So I wanted to ask you guys a question. How do you do it? Those of you who are good players, and there are plenty of you watching this who are better players than me, how do you set up your construction in terms of logistics with the rest of your nation? Or are you just one of those people that's building, right smack dab in a big spot in the middle of the map, and everything's in one place, and therefore logistics are really not the thing? But the way we're doing it, rather spread out, logistics matter, and being able to move these things. So my question is, do you have, the materials I could see in one place, but do you ship them to other places, or do you just set up different construction areas and actually like import your construction materials here to build a town here or an industry, and do it again here or do it again over here or whatever? How do you do it? So put some comments in there, please, and let me know, how do you do it when you successfully use construction in this game? And in the meantime, I'm going to get that set up, and as I said, plan out the city and get it fired off. I will definitely auto build this, because I want this up and running. I don't want this to be up and running 4.5 years from now. But the city itself can take its time, and we'll try to do good, efficient construction, but we can, however long it takes is how long it takes, as long as we don't get into a problem with fires. And if we do, I will do a quick auto build of the fire station, and just enough here to make sure, like a bus or whatever it takes to get that fire station going, so that we can minimize any damage from fires. Other than that, we'll just let it take however long it takes. And I'll just keep going the way I have been going with this, and doing the auto building and what have you. Now, let's explain this. I think this is pretty cool. Now, this is going to be a pretty good climb for our trains. When they're full of oil, they're not going to fly up that hill right there. But that's a pretty nice smooth run they've got. And I love this little mountain pass here. And I owe all this to a user that I found on Discord. Oh, and I'm having a mental block. Let me think of his name. Forged73, capital FORGED 73. He's got several short videos out there. They're kind of like silent films that show you a couple of multiple techniques that he has, including, showing passing lanes and junctions and stuff with trains. But the two that caught my eye were the one where he talked about terraforming. He's got some little terraforming tips and tricks, and another one about saving money on power lines. And later on we'll see that one. But just to see if I can demonstrate it. I'm not as good at it as he is, but the key is basically the old mud road. This mud road is a very powerful thing. You can take this mud road, drag it up here, and say, okay, All right, it's turning yellow, right? So just let your terraforming guys do their free thing, and just keep working on this. And you can keep working on it until you've got a nice green line, and it's very easy to just drag that out. You can also use it, and I'm just going quickly to a summary of what to do. You can use it like, look how flat all this is. I've flattened out all this space, which is, most of you know, that's not my thing. I generally like to flatten as little as possible, but I did a lot of flattening right through here because I wanted to make that city build as easy as possible. Now, what I didn't do, there's actually 2 tiers to it. You really can't see it unless you're down here. But up here, there's kind of a tier that drops off to the part that I'd flattened. But I think that kind of looks cool on all the construction stuff. Some of it's up high and some of it's down a little bit lower. But just the same, I did a lot of flattening of ground here. And one of the things you can do is use your road and just drag it out in a big line like this and just use it to flatten in kind of an arc. And then go back behind it and use a building or the or this guy here with its, to really finish the job off. And you can do a reasonably fast job. And like I said, I'm not that good at it, so with more practice, it would be quite easy to flatten out a big space like that. And the other thing is this mountain pass. All I had to do was start. No, this stuff wasn't here. Start with the road. Just anchor it down here and start working my way up through here and making something. The thing is, you're looking for the yellow. When you get the yellow, you just start the right hand mouse and just keep going until it's about to turn green, or it does turn green, and you just move it side to side, and you can go back and forth and just carve out a space. And you can come up here. You can see right there, I've carved out a space right between. This was all basically a mountain, and I've carved out a nice little pass for the trains to run through. And you can see here my failed attempt. This looks like a long buried whale here. This was trying to work my way up the mountain, and what I found was, because I was anchored here and it was going up here, it was trying to build a road right like that, which would have, first of all, even if it worked, it would have been really steep for the trains, and second of all, it's really gross looking. But it makes a nice kind of sidewall for our track. So check out FORGED73 on Discord. Well, you could probably find him on YouTube as well. All right, so I think that's all I want to do for this episode. It's going to be a short one. It's late. I'm tired, and I don't want to bore everybody to death. So what I'm going to do, probably off camera, you can see our money is racking up pretty nicely now. And by the way, I did set up these trains. Let's just watch one. Here, we'll finish by watching a train. I never do this, at least with you guys. Or is he going back? Oh, yeah. I could explain that. See this lane right here? See, I'm going to run him forward just a little bit. There. This train has come from up here, and he's going into Molna. And because it's a left-hand turn, what I've done is put in this middle lane so the people who are turning left can come over, and actually right now it's everybody, both of our trains, but the train will come into this middle lane and then cross over this way. And this is something I meant to explain to you from up there. You need to use, let me pull up the signals. All right, notice how this is a chain signal, and these two are chain signals. And this is a chain signal. Well, to go in, you need this to be a chain signal so that it will check the block immediately ahead of it. That would be this area in here, and the block ahead of that to see if it's clear. If you put a regular signal here, you could have a situation where there's a train in here. This train could go up in here, and he might not pass this one, but then he would be filling up this block. Remember, it's all connected, and that train would not come out. We'd have gridlock. But with the chain signals, he's checking the block in front of him and the block in front of that. So that works perfectly. Same thing here. He's looking to see, is this block clear and is that block clear if indeed he was going into Molna. And if he's not, if he's going right on through, then he's checking to see, is this block clear and is that block clear? And if it is, he'll go. So that works perfectly. And this is something I kind of figured out and had to fix, because up here, when I finished off the, I forget which episode it was now, but when I finished off this line that went in here, I had a regular signal here, a regular two-way, and that will not work, because what will happen is a train will come up here and stop, a train will come out to here and stop, and they could face each other. But with the chain signals, you can't really see it. Right there's a chain signal. It's looking at the block ahead of it, which is this one, and it's looking to see if there's a free block ahead of that, and there is that one over there. So everything works perfectly. And you'll notice I've added this up here. What's going to happen now is these trains, and that's why I wanted to ride on one, these trains are going to go load up fuel or bitumen. They're going to go to Molna, sell it. Then they're going to go all the way down to the oil field, load up oil, and then they'll come back and they'll go right through here, cross over, got the same kind of a deal. They will cross over the line and go in here and take one of these two spots, unload oil, and then come back out and go over here and start the route again. So now our trains, instead of only being full half the time, they are full all the time except for the run from Molna down to the oil field, and then this little bit from here to here. The rest of the time they have product, and they're making us they're moving us forward. All right, so enough of that. I think they there are Matos. If you want some different camera angles, there's a lot of them. Okay. So I think that'll just about do it for this one. Let me find a train. I want to ride out on a train like the cool YouTubers do. Here we go. Oh yeah, this is perfect. We'll ride. I'm still going to do it on fast forward. I just can't go that slow. So we'll go here and make a bunch of money selling fuel. Then we'll do our magic turnaround. And now we'll head out to the oil field. And I just set this up just to test it to make sure everything worked. And you can see here, it's pretty cool. We're going down the mountain, down into the valley where the oil is. And he picks a spot, and there he would load oil if there was any. Of course, there isn't. We haven't set it up yet. And then I'll even slow it down. As this train heads up the hill and heads back to Molna, I'll say goodbye. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it'll help you become a better player, and I hope you'll join us for our next Workers and Resources Soviet Republic video. Thank you.